Chuck Schumer may get censured, and what is it about the Democrat establishment that they're afraid of with Tulsi Gabbard? The Democratic Party, which likes to tout itself as the party of diversity, of inclusion, has really proven that they are the party of exclusion. As we get ready to finish up this primary season with that 70s show, Bernie versus Biden, which one can out-drool the other one, which one is going to inane some kind of babble that you're going to look at and say, Grandpa needs to be in the home. Well, Joe Biden certainly has that over Bernie in spades, but Bernie is just a broken record. I mean, he gives the same speech over and over and over. He makes the same points at every debate over and over and over. We know what Bernie is. We know where he's coming from. He's already said, I am not going to fight Joe Biden. He's an honorable, decent human being. You do know, Bernie, that Biden would rip out your jugular if he could. if he could get his hands on you, he would. He's not your bro. He's not your pal. He is your opponent, and he wants the nod. He wants the nomination. And if he's got to step on you, crush you, lie about you, whatever he's got to do, your history. And if you're not ready to fight, then you're really not this revolutionary that all these millennials and young ones have been bought into to believe that you are. So that said, you're not even viable at this point. And barring some kind of a miracle on the next round, Super Tuesday, we shall see. And the only way you get a miracle on Super Tuesday is if your supporters might have more fight in them than you have in yourself, and they rally to your cause for Super Tuesday. That said, what is it that this party of so-called inclusion and diversity is not rallying behind Tulsi Gabbard? After all, she's a female. She's young. She's articulate. She has served in the armed forces, is still active duty, and a member of Congress. She certainly presents herself well. She doesn't come across as crazy. Now, I have broken down what she believes because I got a little nervous that maybe Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity were giving her a little bit too much airtime to where she could come across as the palatable, nicer version of President Trump. That she didn't sound like an extreme whack job, and she knows how to present herself in front of a conservative audience in a way that doesn't send off any alarms. But when you actually go to her website and get your hands on her materials and what she believes and what she espouses, I mean, she is an absolute left-wing liberal. She's anti-gun. She is pro-abortion to the extreme, and we can just start going down the list. So why, when the Democrats have a shot at maybe launching somebody that could draw over some of the never-Trumpers, could actually get elected, what is it that they have said no to her? Well, first of all, there was the dust-up with Hillary Rotham Clinton. And remember, Tulsi made headlines when she talked about how Hillary Clinton was trying to end her campaign.
Gets a little tough occasionally on the show, but we do appreciate you coming.
I want to close with one last thought.
That you love my show and you watch it all the time? Okay, go ahead.
I want to say that you and I'm sure, disagree on a lot of things, but I think that you and I agree on one very important point, and that is that the American people have had enough of Hillary Clinton and her warmongering policies. Amen. And so I want to send a message straight to your viewers here today. Join me, support me, help me, vote for me, contribute to my campaign to finally bring about an end to Hillary Clinton's warmongering foreign policy and the influence that she's had for so long over the Democratic Party and Democratic candidates running for president.
Invite you back. Tulsi Gabbard, thank you for being with us.
Now, why would Hillary do that? Well, pretty simple. Tulsi stood a chance of doing something that Hillary Rodham Clinton could never do, and that's become the very first female president. Hillary wasn't worried about Elizabeth Warren. Hillary was not worried about Kamala Harris or Amy Klobuchar, but apparently she was scared to death of Tulsi Gabbard. And so there's no doubt that Hillary, working behind the scenes, the Clintons still yield force and influence within the Democratic establishment, especially among the donor class, and that's because they got so much dirt on all of them that they can blackmail them to infinity. And when one of their donors gets caught at something, they end up committing suicide in jail cells. And it's something how that works. And of course, the donor class and the establishment within the DNC, they all know the real score and what's going on. So if Hillary says, no, Tulsi doesn't make the debate stage, then Tulsi doesn't make the debate stage. And I don't care how much she goes on CNN or Fox News or PMSNBC and whines and complains that she has qualified to make the debate stage, which she probably has. She's wanting Biden and Bernie now to include her. They're not going to. Remember now, this is mano-a-mano time now. So what is it that they are afraid of her? Because she does buck the system in certain areas. In fact, she's called on President Trump, hey, time to cut through the bureaucracy and let's get on with what we need to do to get the coronavirus solved. And unlike her Democratic counterparts, she's not blaming Trump for the coronavirus outbreak. In fact, she is saying something that's really right-wing. She is saying we need to stop being spoon-fed the propaganda by the Center for Disease Control, who wants this mass hysteria and wants to use this as an opportunity to infringe on everyone's rights by creating this scare. What we need to do is cut through all the bureaucracy and let the Food and Drug Administration do what it does best. Let them get on with actually approving some of these drugs that are out there that could actually deal with the problem and have it solved. Shazam, Batman. Then, of course, her whole campaign for over 2 years, she has been touting, it is time to end regime change war. Ba-ba-da-bum. And there lies the reason why the Democratic establishment does not want Tulsi Gabbard. She is anti-military, not anti-military, she is anti the military industrial complex that makes money off war. There you have it. She's a patriot in the fact that she will wear the nation's uniform. She will serve and has served in combat roles. But she doesn't want our military used simply because owners of, shall we say, corporations and manufacturers who make money off of war and death become gazillionaires at the expense of young American lives. And the fact that our CIA and the fact that the establishment politicians, whether they be Democrat or Republican, who happen to be war hawks, they profit off of war and this whole idea of regime change in the, quote, best interest of America, which none of these regime changes have ever worked. In fact, we end up having to go back a few years later and fight the regime that we put into power. And she wants to end that maddening cycle, as does Donald Trump. And this is why Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump, this is why the intelligence communities come after Donald Trump. And right now, they're leaving Tulsi alone. They think they can take care of her by simply don't let her debate, don't let her get her message out there, and eventually her campaign will just be over and done and she'll go away. If she were ever to make any real traction, if she were ever able to garner some real support, you watch how fast they would take her down. And so that's why Tulsi Gabbard can't gain any traction. So as the Democrat Party, the party of inclusion, the party of diversity, gets set for a remake of That 70s Show with drooling Joe Biden and crazy Uncle Bernie, the woman of color, the woman of diversity is sidelined. And where's Hillary Clinton to champion her? Why, we heard from Elizabeth Warren this week that the real reason she had to get out of the race was sexism. Really? Because Tulsi's still in, Liz. Why don't you throw some support her way? Why don't you help her? Because Tulsi Gabbard is poison to the Democratic establishment. That's why. And so, Tulsi, sorry, I think a run you versus Donald Trump would be interesting. I think in the end, any conservatives that were kind of looking at you like, well, you know, she's nicer than Donald Trump and she's anti, we could vote for her. No, we can't vote for you, Tulsi. But you are being, well, there's a word I'd like to use right here, and some people might think it's impolite, especially for a pastor. You're being screwed by your own party. You get that right. And so the establishment has rallied around Biden, and if some miracle happens and Bernie is able to squeeze out Biden, all of a sudden they'll be able to get behind Bernie, because again, there's not really any difference in what these people believe and practice. Bernie's just out there with it, and they're worried that's going to cost them votes down ticket. That said, they also want Joe Biden because basically they know he's a walking dementia, he's a walking empty suit, and they have other people ready to step into key positions in Washington and actually run the government while Biden just sits there drooling on himself. And Tulsi's a thinker. Tulsi might actually, break up the establishment, which is exactly why she's not gaining any traction. That said, remember, the intelligence community, they thought they had Donald Trump under control and they were going to get rid of him. And even after he got elected, they thought it would be no big deal to get rid of him. Well, they've learned their lesson now. They've learned their lesson. And so they will take a Tulsi out long before she ever gets that shot. And you know who confirmed that for us? The guy who's about to get censured, the one, the only, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer.
Take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
Chuck Schumer really just thinks he's just a bad dude. He just thinks he's so tough. He just thinks that, actually, he's jealous. He is so jealous that Nancy Botox Pelosi got so much attention, and Adam Schiff during the whole impeachment process. He just had to go out there and show that he is still the sheriff. He is still that Clint Eastwood character, the man with no name. He is able to be tough. So at a pro-death rally, I know you call it pro-choice, at a pro-death rally right on the steps of the Supreme Court, he had this to say.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
And when he got incredible backlash, even from members of his own party, you can't threaten sitting Supreme Court justices like the rat weasel that he is. He sends out a staffer to say, you have misconstrued the comments of the senator. He was not talking directly to Brett Kavanaugh or Neil Gorsuch. He was talking to the Republicans that confirmed him and put him in office, and there will be repercussions on them at election time. That is not what he said. People think we're all retarded. Honestly, the way the Democrat ilk, the way the Washington establishment thinks that the rest of us are just completely stupid. The real reason they hate the internet and alternate news sources like this one, back in the days when it was just the big three, they could really control the narrative, and they can't anymore because there's this thing called truth. And the truth shall set you free. Truth crushed to earth shall rise again. And Chuck, we heard you. Shall we rewind the tape so we can hear it again?
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
So then he actually stood before the Senate, and again, he offered kind of a half-baked apology, but again, we were misunderstanding him. Well, if we're really misunderstanding what his intent was, then he needs some courses and classes in communication and how to speak effectively, clearly, and actually state what it is that you mean, because he then botched it badly. That said, this is the guy that just a couple of years ago warned Donald Trump, the intelligence community has 6 ways to Sunday to get back at you. And now you threaten sitting Supreme Court justices, and you get mad that Chief Justice Roberts calls you out on it? Oh, you can't do that. Yeah, he can. He's called out the president when there have been things that the president's tweeted or said that he didn't like. Some senators are moving to censure. We'll see if that actually happens. And of course, some of us think, censure, really? Well, that's like a little slap on the wrist. That's just a piece of paper that says, shame, shame on you. You shouldn't have said that. No, what he needs to be is gone. Gone. Every time a Republican puts their mouth in it, they're gone. Remember Trent Lott? Trent Lott, who said nice things about Strom Thurmond at his 158th birthday party? And because that man was in the Ku Klux Klan. That man was a Dixiecrat. That man was prejudiced. He was nasty. And Trent Lott said nice things about him. The Republicans cut him, basically exterminated him. Trent Lott was gone. Gone, gone, gone. Bye, 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 bye. Chuck E. Cheese Schumer? Nothing. Nothing. That continual double standard. And if some of you never Trumpers are still trying to figure out why the base loves Donald Trump, because he hits back. He doesn't kowtow. He doesn't back off his tweeting because some of you think it's mean and it's not polite. And even though another old guy like Clint Eastwood doesn't want Donald Trump tweeting mean stuff anymore. That's exactly how Donald Trump has been able to stay in the fight. That's exactly why Donald Trump is still there waging the good fight. That's exactly why they're hoping beyond hope, a few of the true believers, that by some miracle they can cheat their way into getting Joe Biden into the Oval Office. Because at the end of the day, Biden's going down for the fall. Hey, that's it for this rant. Thank you so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up and a like. Please spread this to your social media platforms. Help us get the word out about our channel. Check your subscription status. You know, YouTube has a way of unfriending you from me or unsubscribing you or whatever it is that they do. They continue to shadow ban this channel, so please, I thank you for your help and helping us get the word out. We are getting new subscriptions in. I don't know how, because it's not like we pop up in any search engines or algorithms. So thank you, thank you, thank you.